Did the camera move? No, it didn't. No, it didn't. I didn't move the camera, no. This is gonna be so much editing. Okay. Hi. So this is me later in the day. I never really explained what was going on, so basically enjoy this video of me talking about 7 of my absolute favorite books, and that is basically it. I am chaotic. I can't believe my first video ever. I have to give this kind of disclaimer and interrupt myself in the middle of editing. This is embarrassing, guys. Just kidding. We're all human and it's okay. But here we are, here I am. I'm really excited to put this video out. I finally edited my first video and it feels good. I feel good about it. Okay, let's take it on out, earlier me. So the first book that I have is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I just finished this book literally 2 days ago. It was so good. It mixed some of my favorite things, which are pandemics and dystopian novels. Basically, this book takes place after a swine flu pandemic broke out, and 90% of the population out of here died. It goes back and forth in time, and it follows an actor named Arthur right before, well, years before the flu hit, and then right before, and everything that was happening with him. And then it also follows these people who are in a traveling symphony and they do Shakespeare plays, and it shows them existing in this apocalyptic time. It was a very, very good one. I can honestly see this book becoming a classic. Honestly, I could see people, I'm a English education major, and I could see me teaching this to people in the future, you know what I mean? It had one of those vibes. I also really liked that she also brought into picture religion or something to believe in, because that is such a thing that would probably happen, because us as humans, we are always looking for something to believe in. And in Station 11, it has a preacher guy who it's basically a cult. Really like that aspect of it. I also just really love cult novels. If something's about a cult, sign me up, I want to read it, things like that. So this had a lot of elements that I absolutely loved in a book, and I recommend this book to anybody. Also, it's going to be a show on Hulu this year, and I'm really excited to read it. I mean, watch it. Read it? Wow, I already read it. This is okay, I keep getting distracted by it just looks weird. Okay, cool. Next book. The next book, I read this book pretty recently. It's called A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. It's so good. I read this with the audiobook, and I think I recommend that method the most, because I think you can get the most out of it when you do that. This book is about it follows 2 people, one named a novelist named Ruth, which I realized that when I was talking about the book later on. I was oh wow, it's the same freaking name. I'm a genius. Anyways, so this novelist named Ruth, and then it also follows this 16-year-old girl named Now, and Now is writing in a diary about how she doesn't want to live anymore, and how her father doesn't want to live anymore, and all this stuff. And it just follows that journey. I don't want to say too much in fear of spoiling it and saying what happens in the end or anything like that. I just don't want to do any of that. All I'm saying is I highly recommend, especially with the audiobook and reading it at the same time. That was great. The way that it was written was absolutely so beautiful. The third book that I would call one of my favorites is Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi. I'm sure you've heard probably a bunch of people talking about this book, but basically it follows these 2 sisters, one named June, one named Jane, and they are pretty estranged. They become close when June finds out that she has cancer, and they end up living together, the sisters, and it's just kind of a tale about the 2 sisters and their dynamics. I loved the way that the author wrote about the sister dynamic when it's turbulent like that, because I could totally completely relate to that happening and that like whole thing, like that sounds like something that would like literally happen in my life, and I'm like, I get it. I really want to read this book over again, honestly. Like, it was just like so beautiful, not to mention how beautiful is the cover. We get it, we've heard it all before. Like, this is my favorite thing ever. This I actually got from the library. I like it so much I'm probably going to actually purchase it so I can have one for my own self, obviously. Definitely, I highly recommend that book. My descriptions and reasonings for liking things, I feel like, don't do things justifications. The next book is Milkfed by Melissa Broder. Look, I actually gave this one a 4 stars on Goodreads, but after I read it for the first time, I read it on an ebook. You can see it now, haha. I read it on an ebook and, you know, just ate it up. I didn't have the physical copy, then my like local bookstore did, so I just bought the physical copy for it. I kept thinking about it after I had read it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The reason I gave it 4 stars is because in the middle it got a little bit dicey and weird and kind of dragged along, so I was like, what's this all about? This is kind of weird. I can see why other people did not like it that much. But then I trudged through and then got to the end and I was like, okay, I still like this a lot. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 for that reason. Basically it's about this girl named Rachel, and she suffers from an eating disorder, and she also has an abusive mom. She goes to therapy, and her therapist tells her to take a 90-day detox from her mother, which she does. And during that time, she meets this girl who works at the froyo place that she is always going to, and she kind of like falls in love with her. She kind of becomes obsessed with her. It's a really, really good book. Melissa Broder's on my radar. This is the first time I've heard of her. I want to like read The Pisces. I want to read So Sad Today, which is her like essay collection, which I'm not like really a fan of nonfiction, but I think I would still probably read it. I've heard that it's entertaining. I can relate a lot, I feel like, to what the story is about, like the 90-day detox from your mother. Wow, like sign me up. Like that sounds like something, if I had a therapist, my therapist would be like, don't talk to your mother for 90 days, you know? So also, this book has been described as like sexy and erotic, and I would agree with that. I really, really like the way that Melissa Broder writes the intricacies of like sex and human intimacy, and I'm just like, yes, I'm here for it. Hello, it's amazing. The next book is actually my absolute favorite book at the moment, and it is God Shot by Chelsea Bieker. This book has cults in it. Let's say more. It has a cult, I should say. Basically, there's this girl, she's 14 years old, her name is Lacey May. She lives with her alcoholic mother. Her alcoholic mother abandons her, and she has to live with her grandmother. All the while, the cult leader, Pastor Vern, is like, they're all going through a drought in California, and Pastor Vern is like, oh, I will clear this drought up in the name of God. Like, God is speaking through me and will do this for me, or whatever the fuck. So that's happening. There's big trigger warnings for like that's there, and I think it's necessary to like, you know, not talk about, but like mention. Throughout the book, she starts like working like at a sex phone line, and that's exactly the same job her mother did when she was younger, like when her mom was younger, and all this stuff, and it's like at the exact same place. Look, all I'm saying is just read God Shot. People say that it's like overwritten. I don't agree with that. I really loved the way that it was written. It was like it was just enough for me, like for me to be engaged enough and not lose focus, as well as for me to like have enough visualization of this universe, and I really enjoyed that. I can't wait for the day like where I can take time aside out of my day and just reread this. I remember I read it in one sitting, honestly. I read it like one day, like within 8 hours. I loved it so much. I ate it up instantly. But I really do want to reread this. I want to reread Milkfed. I want to reread Yolk. Like, I want to make a video about how I want to reread my favorite books and how I want to make a video of me reading them. Anyway, the next book I actually don't have a copy of. I got it as an ebook, and I just haven't gotten a copy. But I love it so much, and it's called In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. This is a nonfiction memoir about like the author's experience in an abusive relationship, and it's depressing at times, but it is beautifully written and poetic and lyrical, and I absolutely love it. It's again like nonfiction, which I don't usually delve into at all, but it is just so beautiful, and I cannot wait for the day where I reread this one again, because yeah, it made me feel deep. The feelings, the emotions, I felt them. The last book that I have here is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. Whole book is amazing. I recommend it to like everybody, honestly. I read it with the audiobook and reading it at the same time. I think that's probably the best experience for this book as well. It's written in like lyrical like prose like here. It also has a mother-daughter conflict type thing, but it also has a twin dynamic that I absolutely love, which they like love each other and would do anything for each other, and I absolutely eat that up. Love it so much. Her mother doesn't approve of her being a poet. I'm skimming this because I assume that people have freaking read it, honestly, and if you haven't, go pick it up right now, go read it, or like just listen to the audiobook, or just read the audio, or read an ebook, like whatever you have to do to just enjoy this and consume this so entirely. And those are all of my favorite books so far. I mean, those are only the ones in 2021. Like, I can talk about like my childhood favorite books. Do you want that? Nobody wants that. Okay, so welcome to my channel. I am going to be trying to post not as much as I can, all the content, boom. No, I'm trying to do, you know, well thought out content, and I'm just trying to make some book friends because I don't have any friends. Are you kidding? Because I'm like a shut-in, not because like I hate people. Well, I just did a full video. I've been waiting for a year to do that.